We're in Paul's letter to the Galatians. We've been in chapter 3 this week. We've been thinking about the law, and I have been arguing that, Paul has been arguing, and I have been noting Paul's argument that the law is limited. It cannot save us. It cannot make us good. So the question we come to is, what are we supposed to do with the law? So I've already noted that we're not paying attention to the civil laws or to the ceremonial laws. I've also noted that one of the questions raised in Galatians 3 is, what do we do with the moral law? So that is now our focus. What are the rules about the rules? Are the 10 Commandments still in effect? What about the command to love and serve others? What about the greatest commandment, to love our neighbor as ourselves, to love God and to love our neighbor as ourselves? What about the Great Commission? What about all these commands? What are we supposed to do with the commands if we're saved by grace? So, here's the shorthand. Here's the answer, and then I'll explain it. We need to keep the law, but we need to keep it in its place, okay? So let me talk about keeping it in its place first. Paul was okay with circumcision. Paul was okay with people keeping dietary restrictions. Paul was okay with people keeping the law if they were doing it as an act of devotion, not with the thought that they are earning. So it makes all the difference in the world. So as a Christian, as a pastor, as we can do things. You can teach Sunday school. You can serve at our legal clinic. You could help with Renew Communities. You could do a bunch of stuff. And if you do those as an act of as an act of obedience, to say, I've been given these gifts, God has blessed me, I've got opportunities, I want to serve, Christ has died for me, I want to give back. If that's our attitude, then keeping the law, going down the moral pathway that the law sets up, is a good thing. If we think by doing this we are better, or we're somehow forcing God into our debt because now he's going to have to bless us, or if we think that we're earning our salvation, then the law becomes a real source of trouble. So we cannot think that we're earning points, but we can keep the law. And the law, again, it's a moral directive. We can look at the law and say, this is the pathway that flows out of the character of God, and it's a pathway that works. So we want to keep the law, we want to keep it in its place. If the order gets wrong, then we just become an accidental Pharisee, joyless, religious, older brother. And we do not want to make that mistake. So we have to keep rehearsing the gospel. George Whitefield, one of the great leaders, I've mentioned some of these Oxford people that were part of this Oxford group with Wesley's and others, Great Awakening. Whitefield says, look, that when we're coming before God and we want to be in a good state with God, we not only need to understand that we have to repent of our sin, we also have to repent of our self-righteousness, of our thought that we're good because of the things that we've done, or that we're better than other people. And so anything that we're sort of thinking is part of this covenant of works that we're storing up for ourselves, that's also part of what we need to repent of, to understand we are saved by grace through faith, not of ourselves. It's a gift of God. It's Jesus plus nothing is how we are reconciled to God. So, having said that, keeping the law in its place, the other thing that I would say is we see the law as a friend. It's a gift. The law is from God, and it's good. We do well to follow it, to obey God, and to strive to follow it. Rightly ordered, we want to keep the law. And I'd say this about the law as I say the same thing about aspects of the law, all the spiritual habits that we want to develop. These position us in a place where God changes our heart. So I cannot change my heart. I cannot will myself to not be angry or to not be prideful. but I can put myself in positions where God is going to do that. And by keeping the law, and by doing the things that God has set out in front of us, we put ourselves at a spot where God is going to change our heart and we grow. The justification starts to work itself out in our sanctification. So, what do we do with the law? We keep it. We just make sure we keep it in its place. Have a good day.